Welcome to Getting Started with Purchase Requisitions. In this recording, we will cover how to create and submit a purchase requisition, edit an existing requisition, work with Workday error messages, and check the status of a submitted requisition. A purchase requisition is a document used as part of the accounting process to initiate a merchandise, goods, or supply purchase. In short, it's a request to purchase goods or services. By processing a purchase requisition, appropriate controls can monitor the legitimacy of that purchase, as well as identify the business need for the products or services. This recording will show you how to initiate a purchase requisition for approval in Workday. You can start your purchase requisition by clicking on the Purchases icon on the Workday Home dashboard. Then within the Purchases worklet, you can click Create Requisition. You can also go up to the search box and start to type Create Requisition, the first 3 letters of each word. You can then click the Create Requisition link that appears on the search results menu. Either way you choose to get things started, Workday will respond by displaying the Create Requisition form. Workday automatically populates the company, the requester, and the currency based on your system profile. I could use the selection icon to change the values in these fields. And I'm going to use the selection icon to choose the requisition type. My choices are blanket purchase order. This is for the purchase of goods and services taking place within a specific period of time with a not to exceed dollar amount. It's for urgent purposes only. I could choose change order. This is for changes to an existing purchase order. Changes cannot be made to close purchase orders. Confirming only, for goods and services that have already been received or performed. Contracted goods and services, for signed contracts with suppliers for requested goods and services, including state and co-op agreements. Standard goods and services. This is for routine purchases. I'll click the radio button to the left of my selection and then click OK. Before we go further, read the instructions at the top of the Create Requisition form. On this screen, Workday is asking you to select an option for building the requisition. We can search Catalog. This takes you to a vendor catalog within Workday. Request non-catalog items. You can request goods or services without using a vendor catalog or website. You will need to provide the vendor name, goods or services, descriptions, and pricing information. Connect to supplier website. This will take you from Workday to the vendor's website for goods and/or services selection, and then back to Workday to complete the request. This is called a punch-out. All contract pricing and terms will be reflected in the supplier's website. It's probably similar to many of the personal online purchases you've made. Add from templates and requisition. This allows you to create a requisition from either a standard template or a previous requisition. And select from my procurement favorites. You can select items from a favorites list. This applies to catalog items only. I'm going to choose Request Non-Catalog Items. Click the radio button for either Request Goods or Request Service, depending upon the nature of your request. This will be the first line item of your requisition. Type a description of what is being requested. Be sure to include any part number, specific size, etc. We need to select a spend category. This field takes the place of account in Banner. If you know the spend category name, you can type it in, or you can make a selection using the selection icon. Notice I typed in a word, not a number. Now I need to choose the specific type of supplies. I'm going to choose office supplies. If I use the selection icon under spend category, all the different spend categories appear in alphabetical order. Next, I need to choose a supplier. I can use the select icon and make my selection from any of these hierarchies, but I know the name of my vendor, so I'll type in a partial name and press enter. I'll enter the quantity I'm requesting along with the unit cost and the unit of measure. If I enter text into the memo field, it will be viewed internally, not by the supplier. I'll continue by clicking Add to Cart. I could also continue shopping. I would choose this if I wanted to select a different method of shopping, but I'm just going to continue with Add to Cart. Now I can enter a second line item. This time it will be a service. Once again, I entered my description, spend category, and a supplier. For the spend category, you can use the crosswalk worklet on your home dashboard to translate between Banner and Workday accounts. If you're selecting a supplier using the selection icon and the supplier's name is not in the list, then you have to complete a supplier request form. You can go back to the Purchases worklet's first screen. Since I'm requesting a service, I need to enter the time frame for which the service is needed, and I need to record the total amount of the service into the extended amount field. Once again, I can continue shopping, or I can add this to the cart. I've entered my last line item, so I want to begin the checkout process by going up to the shopping cart at the top right of the form, the View Cart icon. The first step in the checkout process is the Edit form. Here I can review the request. I can switch between the two line items. And in the line item for goods, I can edit the description as well as the quantity. For services, I can edit the description and the extended amount. On the right is a trash can icon. I can remove either of the line items. And if I want to add another line item, I can continue shopping. But I do want to continue the checkout process, so I'm going to click Checkout. This is the Shipping Address tab. Once again, read the help text that's in red. This might help us avoid errors when we submit this request. The tabs at the left of the form allow me to skip to each different section. This is really important if I want to stop my work right now and then come back and continue later. I can go to the last tab, Review and Submit, and then click on Save for later. I'm going to go back to the Shipping Address tab. Do not change the default ship-to address or enter an alternate address. You will be able to select a ship-to contact in the Review and Submit tab. Any shipments to a non-Fairfield campus location must be clearly identified in the internal memo field in the Information tab, which is where we're heading to when I click Next. On the Information tab, do not populate the Sourcing Buyer field. At the bottom of the tab is the Memo to Suppliers field. You can use this field to specify special instructions for the supplier, such as the building, floor, and room. This is required for WB Mason requests. And you can enter an alternate address if it's required and approved. I'll move now to the Attachments tab. Use the Attachments tab to add required documentation such as quotes, contracts, or agreements, as well as the supplier information form for requests over $2,500. I can either drag or drop files into this box, or I can select files. Once I've selected a file, an Upload button appears. Do not click this button unless you want to add more than one document. And over to the right is a trash can icon if I want to remove any of the documents I've attached. You can also see how the request is keeping track of the total amount. In the Line Defaults tab, the requested delivery date will be set to 1 week after the requisition is approved, unless you indicate otherwise. Do not add a second supplier. There should be only one supplier per requisition, so you can leave this blank. Do not change the RFQ requirements. And if you're not using a default work tag or a split, make sure that none of the above is selected. Now I'll move to the Review and Submit tab. On the Review and Submit tab, I can review the two line items I've entered. To split the cost of a line between two or more orgs, grants, gifts, or projects, I can select the line I want to split, scroll all the way to the right, and click this 0 icon in the Splits column. I can split by percent or by amount. My organizational ID and work tags appear based on my system profile. You can see that I still have $1,000 that I need to account for. So I'll come over here and click the plus sign. That creates another line, and I can finish my split. The accounting information is copied over from the first line, so if I'm going to split between two orgs, then I need to enter the second org. Once again, I can choose from any of these groupings, but I know the name of the org, so I'm going to go ahead and type that in. Don't forget about that crosswalk worklet that allows you to translate between Banner and Workday orgs. Once I've completed my split, I can click Done. Now before I submit this, I can go back and I can review the information that I've entered, make sure everything's correct. I can make changes. I can remove information from fields by clicking the X and making new selections. I can add or I can remove lines. So I think everything looks good. So I can submit. Oh, wait a minute. I see an error message up here. When Workday notes that there's an error, it displays a red box. And if I click on that red box, oh, a supplier. I must have forgotten to complete the supplier. I'm sorry. Give me a couple moments and I'll make this correction and we'll continue on. Well, thank you for waiting. I did correct the error. So let's try to submit again. On the confirmation screen, you can see the next step in the business process. A business process is a collection of automated tasks designed to get something done. In this case, getting a purchase requisition through all approvals so goods and services can be procured. I'm going to click Details and Process. It shows me again the details of what I've entered in my requisition. And if I click Process, it shows me all the different steps in the business process, as well as the status of each step. So here's the current status. I've created a new requisition, and this time I'm going to connect to supplier website. When I choose this option, Workday will display the listing of suppliers whose websites I can punch out to. This means that I'm initiating the request in Workday, accessing the supplier's own website for the selection of products and/or services, and then I'll return to Workday to complete the request. I scroll down to find the supplier I want to punch out to, and I click Connect. It might take a while for the connection to take place. Just make sure you do not click Done, because if you do, that will terminate the connection. Here's the vendor's website. I can make my selections, go to checkout. That will return me to Workday, and then I can go through the checkout process just as I did previously. You might need to edit a requisition after you've submitted it. There are a number of ways to access a requisition. In the Purchases worklet, you can select Requisitions from the View column. You can type My Rec or My Requisitions into the search box, or you can use the My Requisitions worklet. Inside the Requisitions worklet, you'll see all your different requisitions. You can hover near the number and then click on the Actions button that appears. You can hover over Requisition and then go into Edit. And this will take you into the requisition, and you can go through the different tabs, make your changes, and then resubmit it. Once you resubmit it, the requisition will route through the approval process once again. You can also go to View More Details, and then you can either enter the requisition number or fill out filter criteria so that you can find your specific requisition. Click OK. In this case, it'll list all my requisitions. I can scroll, find the one I want to edit, and then click Edit Requisition. You submitted a requisition for approval, and some time has gone past, and you want to see what is the current status of that requisition in the approval process. To find the requisition, we could use the Purchases worklet, we could use the My Requisition worklet, or we can go up to the search box, type in My Rec for My Requisitions, and then choose My Requisitions. Once again, we could enter the specific requisition number, fill out filter criteria, or just click OK and list all my requisitions. I'll scroll down to the requisition I want to look at, and I'll click on its number. I see all the detail for my requisition. At the very bottom of the requisition, you'll find process history. Here you can see all the different steps in the business process. I've talked about how to create and submit purchase requisitions, what to do if Workday displays an error message, how to locate and edit requisitions, and how to check the approval status of a requisition request in progress. Now I'm going to ask you a few questions to help you remember the information. Question 1. The requisition type you will choose for routine purchases is A, B, or C. If you chose C, you're correct. The punch-out option allows you to A, B, or C. B is the correct answer. The Workday field that takes the place of Banner's account field is A, B, or C. B is the correct answer. You cannot include goods and services in the same requisition. False. You can include goods and services in the same requisition, and we did that earlier in the recording. For WB Mason orders, you must always A, B, or C. A. What search box entry will not find your requisitions? A, B, or C? And the correct answer is C. This is the end of getting started with purchase requisitions. Thank you for listening and watching.